What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Figuring It Out Finance podcast, where I, Chris Rickenbaugh, am documenting my journey in real estate and business, while also talking a little bit about travel hacking and personal finance. This is episode number 89. So today I'm going to be covering how I'm using social media and why I'm doing it in this way. But before I hop into that, go check me out on Instagram and TikTok, where I post weekly, and then you can check out the podcast if you go to figuringitoutfinance.com, where you'll find all the links to be able to find the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. So, how I'm using social media. But before we do that, hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving Day weekend. It went great for me as well, except Ohio State losing and completely dropping the ball. But aside from that, jumping into the content for today, social media is something I typically don't enjoy. So, posting on social media, I don't typically do that, and I didn't really enjoy doing that at all. So when I was thinking about quitting my job, I started writing blog posts on WordPress. So I created a blog, Figuring It Out Finance, had to trademark a name. So I started blogging about, personal finance, what I was interested in at that time, because I was hearing, everybody's doing blogs, I'm getting into travel hacking. So I'm starting to understand the credit card game. What am I doing in real estate, going through my personal home renovation? I'm like, I've heard a blog is the best way to go about that. So I found the free version of WordPress, bought my domain, and then, I did about 10 of them, and I'm like, man, I hate this. I'm like, this is not the way to go. And then, once I finished up my house and quit my job, I'm like, all right, once I get back from this Colombia trip, I'm going to really figure out how to turn this into a business. So my idea was to be able to teach college students about personal finance, because I felt like that was, what I wasn't exactly taught when I was growing up, because we were taught Dave Ramsey, be safe and not investing. So when I got into real estate and, investing a little bit harder, it completely changed the game for me. So I had that business idea. So when I got back from Colombia, I started implementing that. I started posting a little bit more, started getting the blogs together. And then I hopped on a call, just a quick 15-minute coaching call with Brian Lubin, who I mentioned quite a bit, because he dramatically changed my mindset when I listened to him on the Better Life podcast with Brandon Turner. And it was more of, hey, if you're doing this real estate thing, trying to buy one a year, it's going to take you absolutely forever to do this. And then, it's going to take a lot of money. How are you going to be able to replace that? It's easier to do that with active income rather than trying to do it through this passive real estate that we've all been taught. And that really clicked for me. So when I got on a quick 15-minute coaching call with him, he was able to say, hey, your business plan basically sucks. So he's like, so forget all of what you're doing. That's a cool goal and everything to do, but you should be using your social media to just document everything you're doing in real estate. And he's like, and then go from there. So I said, all right, post every day, talk about what I'm doing on a podcast, just be able to, explain exactly what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, the wins, the fails, and everything about it. So that's exactly what I've been doing. So moving on, but following Brian's advice, what I did, I started posting on TikTok and Instagram every single day. So what I do is I post on Instagram in the morning. Normally, I didn't have a lot to post about. So, it was quotes about house hacking, some different things about what I'm doing. And then I posted on TikTok, which is me talking about what I'm doing, what I'm learning, how I've learned it. And now it's being able to document some of the flips that I'm doing. So, I have a lot more content now than I did in the beginning. And, a lot of people wait to do this stuff because they want it to be perfect. But, it's not going to be perfect right away. But as I've gone on, and that's through doing 89 episodes of a podcast, it's like you start learning how to organize it better, how it's supposed to look. You understand the little things in TikTok and Instagram, and how to grow that page a little bit better. So Instagram was one of those things where I just posted it. I knew hashtags were a big deal, but now I'm maximizing the hashtags that I need. Now I'm putting in a location to be able to put it into Charlotte. So if somebody looks up Charlotte, they possibly could see my post just because it's tagged into there. And same with Reels. You start to understand the flow of a reel better. You can talk through it. It doesn't take as many takes. And same with the hashtags and when to post. And then you kind of get into a little bit of a routine. So I normally edit those on TikTok, and then I just post it later on Instagram. So you kind of see what everybody's looking at. Is this travel hacking? Do I need to post more about this? Is it real estate? And then real estate's working a little bit. What are they liking to see? And that's what I've seen is people like to talk about travel hacking and not exactly just how to save money. So house hacking is kind of just the sexy thing that everybody likes to hear and talk about. But this is something that it's like, okay, this might be my niche here. So real estate, I've dove into a little bit more. And then I just like talking about some of the trips that I've been planning, like this Miami trip that we flew out today to go see LeBron play, and I'm going to be posting about that on TikTok. And then the ones that have really hit have been posting about my flips, the walkthroughs and what I look for in properties, because I don't know if people, or it's like those are some of the things that they're just little niche things that if you're a beginner or getting into, or even if you've been into it for a little bit now, you're like, oh man, I completely forgot to look at this and this cost me money. It's like, but this could save me money on the next one. So those are some of the videos that I've just been doing a little bit better. So, you learn as you go and you get a little bit better at it. Your graphics get a little bit better, and, the content just easily grows. So I've been doing a little bit better with that over on Instagram and TikTok. I think Instagram, it's about 1.7 thousand people per month that I'm reaching. So that's really cool. The followers are very slowly growing. I think I'm right under 70 followers at this time today. And then TikTok actually just got over 100 followers and then 750 likes, somewhere in that ballpark. So, really cool that those two things are growing, and, not being a year into it, only being about 7 or 8 months into, just posting normally. So I'm excited to see kind of as I keep going, getting a little bit better at it, possibly looking at hiring somebody to do social media for me, to do it just a little bit better than I can do it, and see how it grows. And maybe just a couple posts a week, and then eventually full time, as our flips start to do a little bit more, and I can just hire somebody to be able to come in and do that and make it look really, really nice. And then the podcast is going to get better as well, as I'm, just documenting it a little bit better. I'm organizing. So like I have my intro set up, I have my main content, and then I have my closing, what I want to talk about. So that's just kind of going to get more detailed, especially when I start having guests on. I'll have to really break it down for them, better questions, and it'll be just better content all the way around. But, slowly growing in every area. So the podcast, to finish up here, that's something that I thought I would lead into a little bit more. And it's a very easy way to be able to just talk about what I'm doing, ramble on a little bit, feel smart, but it's really just easy to get on and talk. So when I was doing 3 episodes a week, it just felt like too much. Like I just was having to make stuff up, talk about the books I'm talking about, which is still what I do. But now that I've bumped down to 2, I feel like I can not slow down, but I can put more and better ideas into it to where I'm not just trying to hop on and talk for 10 minutes. So I feel like I'm doing a lot better, and you can see the growth from doing it that way in the podcast and YouTube. So whatever I see on my numbers, how many views I've gotten through Podbean which is what I post through. It doesn't even count my YouTube numbers. So the YouTube kind of grows on its own. I don't monitor it a ton. Podbean, it'll get just a couple views, but that's slowly growing as well. I think once I start bringing in people to interview, they'll be able to push that out as well, see what we're talking about, and that'll grow a little bit more. But that is pretty much how I'm using the social media, mainly just through the podcast, TikTok, and Instagram. That's about as far as it goes right now. And then I can definitely see here in the near future, once we have a little bit more money coming in from the flips and have more going on, it'll be easy to really lock in a certain time and maybe have somebody posting for me that's taking better pictures, editing the videos to make it a little bit cleaner and, be able to grow that content a little bit more. But, this all started from hopping on that 15-minute coaching call with Brian Lubin saying, hey, you got this interesting business plan, but it's probably not going to work out. So just use it to document everything you're doing in real estate. And then it's probably going to do a lot better because you're not just rambling and trying to teach with no experience. And it's like, you're getting the experience and you're just documenting that entire process. So you're going to have somebody, go back and look at your first 20 episodes when you bought that first flip compared to, hey, you've done this many in your first year. So getting ready to close, hopefully on flip number 4, 3 flips, 2 projects going on at once right now, hopefully a third soon. Inspections just passed on flip number 2. So we have another one this Wednesday, hopefully. And once we pass on that, it's going to be a race to the finish line, hopefully a week and a half, and then be able to wrap that up and then close on the next one to get that started. So big things coming, super excited, wish it could be moving a little bit faster, but if you keep following me on Instagram, TikTok, and keep listening to the podcast, you're going to be able to see all of it happen. So that's all I got for today's podcast episode 89, and this was Chris Rickenbaugh signing off for the Figuring It Out Finance podcast.